Welcome to the crypto day morning. Today's date is in that of Friday. It is the 25th of January, 2019. All bets trades within each's own risk and their own reward. Cryptos aren't really doing too much, so I'm going to talk briefly about Bitcoin, Theta coin, and Litecoin at the conclusion of such. But let's first start off within the precious metals. Gold against the Canadian dollar down less than $200 from its 2011 highs of about 8 years ago now, as I'm showing such on a monthly chart. Its high was a little over 1900, it's now about 1700. And within the daily chart for today, what we are seeing is that it's just mainly going sideways and correcting within its last move against the United States dollar. It's priced at about 12.90, and back in 2011 both currencies of Canada US were close to the same. So it's down about 30% from its high. However, within the short term on the daily chart, it's been making this nice run higher from the November lows. And from the highs in early January, it's established a major level of resistance at around 12.95. The breakdown day of January 18th didn't bring any further move lower despite all of this empty space in which it rose on the last rally. Today's move has brought it up to the 18 highs over the short-term level of resistance. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see here that this is just starting for the day. As single hour, it broke out on the 8 a.m. time frame. Silver doing pretty much the same thing on the hourly as gold. On the daily chart, coming up towards this 18 average of highs, and it came down a little bit towards here. I don't have access to like a 2-day chart, but the 18 would be correcting within such in here. We can see where a line could just be drawing up. But as it goes, question mark, is this a bottom? After all, if this is going to be working as bull markets do, getting above here at 1570 should come at no surprise. But seeing such an event with a successful low here should indicate to me that this is going to be making a decent size move higher. Silver was $50 almost back in 2011. It was barely over $50 in 1980. Against the US currency. So about 70% down so far from its highs. And when we look at this on the monthly chart, it's down. There's the highs in there. It's still just correcting within this 18 average. And with a lot of markets, they've been going up a lot, like the stock market. But before we do that, silver against the Canadian dollar is also down a very decent chunk from its 2011 highs. For it too got to about $50. It's lost about 30. That's about a 60% decline. And it was higher than $50 in 1980 given the exchange rate. So it's down about 70% from its 1980 high. The Dow Jones, its high came in close to 27,000, and right now it's 24.5. That's about a differential of 2,500 points. So it's down almost 10% from its highs, and within its market, having significant lows not seen since 2017, and has now had consecutive weeks rallying up towards the 18 average of highs on such. And on the daily chart, ever since getting above the this day on here, January 7th, has been grinding its way higher ever since. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency against the dollar, down about 80% from its $20,000 high, currently priced at about $35.50. And as I've been saying, it's not really doing too much. Over the last 5 days, just hanging in there on very small volatility. And even for that matter, since the decline on January the 10th. Barely holding this established level of support at around 35.70. And it's been reestablished down to about 35 even. And like I say, barely holding it. It's been many days in this level. Today's the 25th. The breakdown was the 10th, so it's 2 weeks. had a rally attempt on the 19th, it instantly failed. Had to sell off on the 22nd, it instantly failed. And a whole bunch of nothing or very little has been going on. And that will remain the case until it's not, obviously. And as I've been stating in the previous videos on the move to the upside, there are really two key levels of resistance. One, and I'm going to put the Fibonacci lines on. And the first one is up towards the 18 average of highs, which would be a pierce above now, still in that area. 3700 area up to about 3750 for this level of resistance would be the first barrier of any decent rallies, because it'd be a decent break above this short-term resistance at a little over 36. And then getting above that, we talk about the 4100 Fibonacci level. That's a 23.6 mark from this low to the 20,000 high as the next level, and then breaking that, the 48. But until then, there's two key numbers it would have to go down towards. 3470 represents a key Fibonacci level, which after piercing above it in here has hit that number and has been supporting it for quite some time, and thus breaking down below it. I'd be expecting the next support level to be the previous low at 31. You could have a little bit in here possibly, and that would probably more than anything be just that, where maybe it would go down to 33, up to here, back down, or some sort of level like that. But the next key area would be this. How optimistic am I that I'd be support of great magnitudes? Not so much. Breaking down below that, we'd be talking about a decent leg lower among the chart. And looking at this on the short term, this is pretty much all we're going to get is for any type of nothing much happening. Because even here, 4 hour or 1 hour time frame, you have a rally up to close to 36, and then it goes down to a little over 35. You're looking at just a little over 2% from the highest and lowest point that it's been at since the morning of the 23rd, or the last 2 days. Taking a look next at Litecoin, and using just a very quick, very few charts, monthly chart, this was up to about a little over 350. Now it's below 35. It's lost about 91%, which is of course larger than the Bitcoin number. And this is smaller than a lot of the other cryptocurrencies with monstrous volatility, obviously to both the up and the downside, because many coins that have lost 93, 94% are still higher than their 2017 lows. But throwing that part aside, as this looks on the daily chart, a little bit better than Bitcoin, as Bitcoin showing weakness amongst the 18 lows. This one, after doing so as well from January the 11th or 12th through about January 22nd, it did so, but it got above up here to the 18 average of high, so the first level of prior resistance. And just like Bitcoin breaking above the 18 highs, you're looking at previous high. That area comes in between 36 and a third up to about the high $40 range, where its next level of resistance would come in. But same thing like this. If this fails, this key level, this correctionary move and the short-term support breaks down, maybe a little bit of support here at 28 or 28 low, 27 high number, but getting below that 22, and then maybe a little more optimistic if it's an okay rally for support. But even still, making in a bear market with this just filling some of this empty space from the decline, you're making lower highs and lower lows. Lower than 2259 is, well, just that, lower. Within the cross of Bitcoin and Litecoin together, having the breakout from the inverted head and shoulders, and here establishing resistance, coming back to where it came from. Since then, over the last few days, making a move above the 18 highs. A down day today of very small proportions thus far. And when I see something like this, I can just look at the short-term level of resistance. I can pretty much tell it's pretty much right around here. So this general area, I would like to see it hold and stay above. Definitely going below it and back above is what I mean by saying holding and staying above. And when we look at this on the shorter term time frame, here we have on the 4 hour term, this was level of resistance that it got above, decent sized move. Now back to this small key area back to a newly rising 18 average. And if it gives in, well, as we can see, this line in here, maybe even just towards this, right around in here, I would have to think that the must hold area would be somewhere around the 876, 877 handle. And when we take a look at this on even a shorter term time frame after that, within the 1 hour, we can see it made this move at about 1400 hours yesterday. Went sideways, had an attempt to make a new high in here. Really two attempts at that. As it did you have your first attempt in here, didn't make a new high, correctionary move. This green candle was attempt number 2, and it was the final attempt. And trying to do such, this uptrend line broke. The 18 average of lows failed its support move. It resisted it, and now from this established low, it's at that area now. So we get to the point that the trend reversal is showing the place in here, and that from this time frame, well, maybe coming down and testing that. Well, I removed that line, but that 870-ish or so number in here would most certainly be a deeper target in here. I would think next I'm looking at a pierce below this for this time frame here, so I'd be thinking about maybe 894-ish point as its next support level on amongst the 1 hour time frame. Let's look next at Theta, and within it had its big day back in the end of November, where it went from 1200 Satoshi up to about 36, your standard 3x move, and just bring it right back down to where it came from. I almost can say it didn't happen, for if I do something like this, and I don't usually scale this out too often, but I mean, generally speaking, this is what the market has been doing, is just trading in this range over the last, or since September. And there's nothing more to say that's changing other than it's looking to break above what's a multiple hit level of resistance at around the 1500 handle point. Oh, it's pierced well above it on many times. Of course, the 3x move in here, a little bit of a pierce above on this move in here, but resistance, 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 resisting in here, and here, and here, and it's of course been a lot. So let's adjust this a bit, so we're only going to take a look at the last few days in here, and I'll do so via the 4 hour term. And I don't need to put a line in or horizontal ray at the 1500. The red line will suffice enough. I like, after this move on the 23rd, 2 days ago, how it supported amongst this level really nicely many periods. For it came down to here on the red candle in this 23, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 periods doing its correctionary move, and then getting above at the 3 a.m. session. Let's take a look more clearly at what time it was. Let's just look. Was there anything to indicate that this was going to go higher? Well, the volume was doing nothing. The price action was just staying within this correctionary mode, and then it goes. So when buyers come in, they come in. This is when they decided to do so. It was around 4 a.m. Eastern time. I would be guessing that this is going on in Europe, given that it's 4 o'clock, because my time zone, almost everybody sleeps at that time, myself included. On the Pacific coast, that would be 1 a.m. That's Los Angeles and Vancouver. Maybe, but that's still a little late. And then over in Europe, that's UTC, a 5 hour differential. That's the 9 o'clock time horizon, and that's when people are waking up or been up for a little bit. The sun is up then. So the move happened then, and a decent sized move up to 1600. It has retraced down a little bit since over the last few areas, coming back to a key area where it came from, because we got the lines in here. That's the lower, I guess you could say the lower end, somewhere like around in here, and then up to this point. But the upper end was obviously that area here. So the whole range of where I kind of like to see it go back to is where it is now. It can definitely fall a little bit further. It's had the decent sized down move where if buyers come in, then that's not a surprise. And on a fundamental level and on the number level, when you have big buyers in the market that are looking to buy up a lot and they don't want to buy it up too much because they want to get as many as they can with the Bitcoin that they are trading with, and therefore they'll buy enough like this, take a pause break, do whatever else, put some buy orders in maybe, and let the sell orders fill again in time, because they if they being the big buyers would have bought it up to 1600, taking all of the ask offers, including myself. I did manage to sell south of 1600, thankfully, with the top coming in at 1597. I think I got about 94, 95. But that means all of these get refilled again. So instead of continuing to buy at like 1620, 17, 1800, they're looking to buy in here. So that's one reason why when you have these markets, you have the up move, you have the correctionary play. But the only way big volume is going to come in, unless you got people with a plan and a purpose at this stage to be buying more as it is. We could be at a spot where the big buyers come in and they're done, at least for this period of time frame, and then the market's going to just come back down to where it came from and do a lot of the stuff that we've seen before, where you have the large size moves, even like the 3x one this had, and then just come back to its previous congestion area. And in this case, we'd be talking about down towards in the 13. But I do like on the daily chart how this has progressed from this point, because there's now, this is like day number 6, I think. Yeah, 6 from this level, and red candle down, and then just to hold and play amongst this 18 and show strength for 3 days before today's rally, to me shows a lot of prosperity that could be coming soon if this continues to play out, because of all this major resistance at 15. If it's able to break, then we start to talk about that 3x move high and possible resistance levels next, starting at this previous high at about 17 and change. But just a wild large amount of empty space from the retracement of the late November highs. Thank you for tuning into today's Crypto Day morning video, and have yourself a great day and weekend. Bye-bye.